In the preceding movie, we created a script that would turn to rotate a gun turret to face the mouse cursor wherever it moved in the scene. This is a really great thing to be able to do because it lets us create any kind of game in which the player must turn to face an enemy, and these will typically be twin-stick shooter games. But of course, right now we have a scene in which if I click the fire button, no ammunition is generated in the scene. To demonstrate that, if I press the play button on the toolbar here, and I move my mouse around, you can see that we have a turret object that turns to face the cursor, but if I click the fire button on the mouse, we fire no ammunition here. So what I want to do in this scene is to demonstrate how we can create an ammo object that will be able to generate as many times as we need to fire ammo into the scene. This movie effectively represents the start point of a new section in this course where we're going to look into the problems of ammo generation. So right now I've navigated to the project panel here inside the assets folder, ammo creation, and I'm going to be creating our work inside that folder. So of course, to create ammo in the scene, we actually have to have an ammo object to create. So I'm going to create a completely new object in the scene and we're going to generate a prefab from this. So I'm going to move to the file menu here and choose game object and then select 3D object and choose sphere from the application menu here to create a completely new sphere in the scene. This is going to represent our ammo object here. So I'm going to move to the object inspector and I'm going to rename this to ammo and press enter on the keyboard. Now by default, this comes with a sphere collider and I'm just going to leave this enabled here. So I'm going to just leave that as a standard collider. I'm not going to mark it as trigger. And what I want to do is, of course, I want this ammo object to start traveling and moving in the scene. Because of course, when we fire the ammo from this turret here, the ammo should travel along its trajectory. That is, it should continue moving along the forward vector. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down inside the project panel here because we already have a script to achieve this functionality. So I'm going to scroll down here until I find under the scene section the folder called mover. And when I select on the folder mover, you can see that we have a mover script here inside the project panel. I'm going to drag and drop the mover script onto the ammo object here. So I'm just going to drop it onto the object and select the ammo object here from the hierarchy panel. You can see in the object inspector that we have the mover script attached. I'm going to give this speed of 10, for example, and press enter on the keyboard. The last thing that I want to do to this object to turn it into ammo, that is something that can collide and interact with other physical obstacles and objects, I want to add to this a rigid body component. So I'm going to move up here to the component menu with the ammo object selected here and choose component and then choose physics and then choose rigid body. And a rigid body component is then added to the object and you can see the details of that component here. Now by default, all objects that have a rigid body are affected by gravity rather, which means they are pulled downwards to the ground. Now I don't want this to happen to this ammo object. I want to, in fact, make this immune from gravity, and I just want it to travel along its forward vector trajectory here. So to enable this behavior, I'm going to move to the rigid body component, and under the checkbox is kinematic. I'm going to enable that checkbox here. That will completely override the default physics behavior for this object. So now if I press the play button on the toolbar here, the object suddenly travels along its trajectory. Let me try that again. I'm going to press play and you'll see in the game tab that the ammo object travels along here. I'm going to go back to the ammo creation folder here inside the project panel. So I'm going to select ammo creation. Now to make a prefab from this ammo object, all I have to do is drag and drop it down here from the scene into the project panel and release my mouse. When I do this, we get a prefab created from the ammo object. And you can tell that a prefab has been created because inside the hierarchy panel, the ammo object here, the name, it turns blue to indicate that it's connected to a prefab in the scene. So we have here an ammo object, and what we want to do whenever we press the fire button is to generate instances of this prefab. We're going to see how we can get started with that next.